Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your master of magical arts. No, master of martial arts and mystical and magical arts. Also, the host of Zenorama, the podcast of Heroes and Monsters. Not to mention the co-host of GD Explanations. It is a little early today, when I'm recording this, that is, but we're going to get it out of the way because there's company coming over. The most vilest batch of villains you'll ever find. Yes, my family. I feel a disturbance in the force. But today, we are still in the midst of Green Hornet. However, we are going to be talking. But wait, what's this? It's not the Green Hornet. Before we get too much further into it and let you know, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, and do all the fun things. Especially leave a comment. Let me know what you think about these two episodes because I like them, but some people don't. Be that as it may, it's not an episode, it's not two episodes of the Green Hornet. No, it's this. Yes, indeed, it is the Green Hornet Batman crossover, or more likely the Batman Green Hornet crossover, because it made more sense to have the Green Hornet go over to the more popular show. And it got a chance to show him in a different light because, as we've mentioned, the Green Hornet is far more serious show than Batman ever could have hoped to be. Now, if they'd have done a little switcheroo between the two of them, given Batman some more serious episodes here and there, we might have a different story to tell. And given the Green Hornet some wilder costume foe, but such is the way of life in television life, especially in the 60s and clean into the 70s. So we start out here in Gotham, where the Black Beauty shows up at the Pink Chip Stamps factory, which should tell you how it's going to go. It's a lot more colorful. Look at these. It's a lot more colorful, and these are all screen grabs from the Blu-ray set of Batman, which is the only Blu-ray you can get with the Green Hornet and Kato in it, sadly. A legitimate Blu-ray, that is. And it's a lot easier. So right away, the humor is definitely evident there. And we meet our villain, Colonel Gum, who gets gassed right away, and Kato just beats the stuffing out of the other two. And are we into it? And there's our heroine, which is Pinky Pinkston. And who was she played by here? Diane McBain, who was Jervis Tetch's, that is the Mad Hatter, the only villain who gets named in Batman, his full name. She was his Moll earlier, but that's her stupid dog Apricot, who's a Maltese dyed pink. Oh, and that wig. Oh, jeez. So the whole thing could have, I know why they didn't use a regular Batman villain, but, they could have done it just a tidge more seriously. Green Hornet's in town looking at under counterfeit stamp ring, which, fair enough, but not something earth-shattering. And they figure out that Green Hornet's been in town because she phones Commissioner Gordon. And there we have them looking at stamps, and Bruce is holding rare stamps with his fingers. That's like reading a Action Comics #1 in near mint condition with your fingers, an original from 1938. You just don't do it. Britt's in town, and he's trying to. He hits up Pinky, and then he hits up Bruce, and he says, "We'll call him later." And now down the bat poles they go, and into the show. So maybe I should have played it there, but this show, Piece of the Action, was first broadcast March 1st, 1967. Season 2, episode 51, because they were doing 2 a night still here, or 2 a week still here. We know who Batman and Robin are. I just love the animation there. And Now, instead of getting the guest villain, we get guest heroes. So that we're told they're heroes. And we know they're heroes because we most of us would have watched both shows, I would think. But I mean, there's just different vibes to each show. Um, so off we go, and it's Batcave is 14 miles out of Gotham City, apparently. And there's the hotel where Britt's staying at. And now he's hitting on Pinky Pinkston. For some reason, she is alluring to both men. We don't know why, but you know, and Britt comes in to visit Commissioner Gordon, and then gets to meet Batman and Robin. He tells Batman to give his regards to Bruce Wayne, or Bruce Wayne says, "Give my regards to Batman," since we're acquaintances. And our villain here is, of course, the great Roger C. Carmel, who most of us also know as Harcourt Fenton Mudd from 2 episodes of Star Trek. So he needed 2 superheroes to get rid of him. Captain Kirk couldn't stop him in 2 episodes. And he's very funny, and he's been in other things. I want to say the Wild Wild West, and possibly, um, uh, I mean, he's just been in a ton of things. You gotta be kidding me. Was uh, I Mud and Mud's Women? Was he in Transformers the movie as Cyclonus? Okay, my knowledge of the Transformers is not good. DuckTales. I did a lot of voice of New Adventures of Johnny Quest from the 80s, which I like a lot more. And the second time around that I watched it, Heart to Heart, Sheriff Lobo. Let's see what we got. Laverne and Shirley, of all things. Oh, just Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys Mysteries. Oh, the short-lived Invisible Man series with David McCallum and his mushroom haircut. Let's see, Star Trek the Animated. So 3 Star Trek episodes. Seeing if he was in anything else that might be worthy of genre. Star Trek, I Spy, Batman. Oh, I thought he was in Lost in Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Man from Uncle. Yeah, really, he's a trifecta of nerd shows. So more than a trifecta, whatever is higher than that. Anyway, he's running a counterfeit stamp to make money. Stamp ring. There's the Bat computer, Bat ingestion switch. Why they need one of those is beyond me. I'm going to rate that highly. Thank you. That is Angelique Pettijohn as first model. She gets a couple of lines, and then a year later or so, she would be Shauna, the one of the thralls of the Triskelions of the gamesters of Triskelion, or as I used to say, Triskelion. I hadn't seen the episode, but she doesn't have green hair here, with a rather bulbous bouffant. And that is Jan Watson as the second model. They're both hitting on the men, who she's got that damn dog with her. I mean, I have nothing against Maltese, but this whole thing could have been toned down just a little, and it would be better received. There's Harcourt Fenton Mudd in disguise. Here he is again in disguise as a Russian. Back to the hotel. They're going out and they're talking. We can't hurt the Cape Crusaders are going to try to hurt us, but we can't hurt them because we're secretly on the same side, as we well know. And they're headed out to meet up with Colonel Gum. Now, Pinky's found out he's a counterfeiter. I mean, what did she think with those guys? Jeez. Colonel Gum has an affectation or an affliction or an addiction to alphabet soup. This will come in later. Green Hornet shows up. Well, actually, Batman shows up first. Green Hornet shows up. And Robin wants to go jump him right now because he's full of himself. Now, there's a story about that we'll go into a little later. I don't believe it's true at all. I do think Bruce was a prankster, but I don't think that there was any. And Burt Ward might have been scared, but Bruce wouldn't have hurt him. So the Green Hornet wants a piece of the action, which would later also be a Star Trek episode title. Really good episode where they pretend to be gangsters. Calls himself Quake. And the Green Hornet's dumb enough to let Gum shove him into his large perforating and coiling machine. A fight breaks out, and there's our one of our two sound effects that I got. I mean, these are good fight scenes, really well blocked, and lots of action in these shows. These shows more than the Green Hornet should have a little kicked up the action a little bit too. Undetectable glue pad. Our heroes are stuck. Uh-oh. And now we've got the obligatory William Dozier narration here. And so I can't do his voice, but we all know. When they're unglued from now, who didn't see, even as a kid, when I first saw this, I knew what was going to happen. So, yep, same bad time. So the next day, which we're going to go over to Batman's Satisfaction, which was, of course, broadcast March 2nd, 1967. Obviously, episode 52 of season 2. So they pull out Kato's stamp, and now they're going to feed the. I can't imagine why they thought that Batman and Robin would just let them do that with his super instant glue gone, Colonel Gums. Why didn't he just manufacture that and make $1 million that way? Or patent it, make $1 million that way? The motivation of villains is somewhat questionable at times. And so, of course, he sprays them and they punch him out. Then they go and rescue while they're rescuing the Hornet and Kato, Gum takes his counterfeit stamps and leaves. Kaboom! Now they're out. This gives the boys a couple of minutes to talk about what could have gone wrong or what didn't and correct each other. And, of course, they grab Pinky while they're at it, who's been feeding the alphabet soup to Apricot. You can see it's got a whole thing there. So much color. I mean, the Green Hornet does not have is very real life kind of drab, as we'll see in except for the next couple episodes. So Kato tells Batman he wasn't too smart for a clever crime fighter by letting Gum go. But then he goes and finds the soup and takes it back. And Robin's supposed to be trying to make a message out of it. They feed it to the Bat computer. Well, he's talking. Gordon thinks that Batman might be stamped out. Lots of puns with stamps and gum and glue and all. It's very funny. I mean, if you go into this thinking it's not a comedy, you're going to be disappointed. So Bruce and Britt meet up again here, and they have a chat about old times before they became, business magnates. And Britt says, "I wouldn't be caught dead in that crazy cowl of Batman's." Wah, wah. Now, I believe both of them knew exactly who each other were. I don't think there was any question about it at all. They leave it up in the air in the show, but just the way the two react, and when Batman lets the Green Hornet and Kato go, and Robin says, "Why didn't you arrest him?" He's like, "As a duly deputized officer of the law, I couldn't do it because I didn't have any reason to. They hadn't done anything. So, in fact, they, tried to be killed, or Colonel Gum tried to kill them. So he's like, I'm not going after him. I know who they are and what he's here for." So that's just personal theory, but I believe totally that they knew exactly who each other were, because the coincidences, there's too much of them. There's no way that Batman or Bruce wouldn't have looked up Britt and seen that he had a houseboy, whatever you want to call Kato, a mechanic. Let's call him a mechanic and engineer and inventor that invented the Black Beauty and did all that stuff. And there's no way he wouldn't say his name's Kato, and the Green Hornet calls his driver Kato. I mean, it's the same thing that Britt saying, "Well, Robin's about the same age as Dick is," and because they've obviously known each other, been in the same circles. They went to the same college together in the DC 66 or Earth 666 or 67. Take your pick. Another interstitial, nice shot of a kind of a slummy area where Colonel Gum's got Pinky. He should have just put her. He should have put her in the perforating machine. Off they go again to the Gum Symposium, and who do we meet here but Edward G. Robinson? See, he's going to tell Batman and Robin, hit the bricks. Yeah, see. But actually, he makes fun of Andy Warhol in his pop art phase, which I don't hate the pop art. Not like apparently Robinson despised it, but he kind of makes fun of it. But nice little cameo there. And just in case we've forgotten that Batman and Robin and the Green Hornet and Kato met each other already,
Gee whiz, Batman. Dropping in on a drugstore might have been easier.
Exercise never hurt anyone, Robin. We must always keep the element of surprise on our side.
What are you doing here?
I might ask you the same question.
Pursuing the enemies of law and order wherever they happen to be.
Aren't you in the wrong city?
On special assignment for the Daily Sentinel. You know my aide, Kato?
Robin, the boy wonder.
Well, I don't want to hold you up from your crime fighting.
Thank you, and good luck to you, Mr. Hornet.
Nice to have met you.
Gosh, Batman, what are they dressed like that for?
I'm assuming the International Stamp Exposition is a stamp convention for stamp nerds, philatelists. I don't know what stamp collecting is. Sorry, it's just never been my bag, baby. But here we go. There's Colonel Gum as an alleged stamp collector, and that gentleman there is Harry Fraser as Mr. Stample. Well, yeah, he had no choices to be in there. But so Batman and Robin show up, the Green Hornet and Kato show up, and the fight is on. Now, if these are real rare stamps and they're just hopefully Batman had them do fake stamps, because if the real ones are getting damaged, that's like, you're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in this fight scene. Good fight scene. Each of the heroes get a lick on, a couple of good jabs on each other, and these are probably all the stunt doubles. So the legend has it that Burt Ward had some martial arts knowledge, apparently, in karate, and had enough unagi to realize he probably shouldn't mouth off against Bruce Lee, who already had cachet as a martial artist by now. However, legend has it he was afraid to go up against him because he thought Bruce was actually going to legitimately hurt him, and Bruce played into that. And I don't know how true it is, because this would have been a stunt double. Everyone would have been a stunt double except Bruce Lee, who could safely not kill his own stuntman. So I'm glad these guys don't know we're helping them. So there you go. That's definitely not Burt Ward. That's a stunt double. So, and it's, yeah. So, but the shot, the fights are fun. These are the best fights you'd see on television. Well, except for the ones on Wild Wild West, which were better fights because until he got injured, Bob Gardner did James West did his own stunts. And Bruce is doing his own, because nobody could kick like him and as safely as him without killing you. So I'm glad these guys aren't in town every week. So the fight's still back on. Finally, we have a Mexican standoff. And they're doing some feints. Oh, look, a monkey flip. And, each of them get to punch each other. In James Van Heis's book about the Green Hornet, he was outraged because he said Bruce Lee could whip them all up by himself, which is true. But Kato wouldn't be able to whip trained fighters as well. By himself. That's just not going to happen. So we have the Mexican standoff, and Colonel Gum leaves and goes around behind and grabs Pinky, and they're like, "All right, Kato, let's roll." And then Batman does the same thing to save Pinky. And again, saving Pinky and is her damn dog there? And they're like, but the Green Hornet got away. And Batman's like, well, maybe he was just here to expose the stamp counterfeiting ring. And Commissioner Gordon scoffs, rightly so, because he thinks he's a villain. But once again, Batman knows. Bruce knows that who Britt is. Colonel Gum has told Pinky that Britt Reed is Batman and Bruce Wayne is the Green Hornet. So they do a little shenanigans here. Pinky's got a much nicer hairdo, and so seems like a complicated thing. Batman calls Alfred. Alfred phones Commissioner Gordon, and they all do this phone to phone to phone to phone thing. And Batman says, thank you for helping out with Colonel Gum and stamping out the counterfeit ring. And she's like, don't tell Bruce. He'd think I'm such a fool, ever so foolish. Then Bruce shows up and starts talking to Apricot. The end. shouldn't really end on Apricot because they all laugh and that's it. Everyone goes back, and since the show, the Green Hornet, didn't last much longer, unfortunately, that's it. We don't ever see another team up. I really liked it as a kid because I love crossovers, and I thought it did a good job balancing the two teams of heroes. And would I've liked to have seen a better script, or at least a slightly less silly one. Robin actually calls Pinky, says I don't know. I think some of the women Bruce Wayne dates are a little dizzy, but this one especially. So but then we get the credits here. Let's roll some music here for the credits. Oh, I forgot.
Another challenge for the Green Hornet, his aide Kato, and their rolling arsenal, the Black Beauty. On police records, a wanted criminal, the Green Hornet is really Britt Reed, owner-publisher of the Daily Sentinel.
There he
his
is.
dual identity known only to his secretary.
I was actually going to play a different clip here, so let me stop that one. And did I if you notice? No, not yet. Okay, let's go back here. Beep, beep, beep. So again, a fun episode, and I do think if they ever get around to releasing the Green Hornet on legitimate Blu-ray, that they should include these two episodes just because. But I can't figure out why they haven't. I mean, especially in the wake of the failed Green Hornet feature film, the frustrating failure of the Green Hornet feature film. So, having said all that, we'll play a little more of the outro. There's Muslim Riddle, Batman theme by Neil Hefti. Well, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing this. All right, and I did add this particular little thing in there because I really don't have much against Bob Kane, except that Bill Finger was not given his due credit for helping create Batman. And so I'm going to give credit where it's due. You better believe it. And there we have it. So we'll go back to I think we have 2 more episodes of the Green Hornet and 2 more episodes of Zenorama featuring the Green Hornet. Tomorrow will be 7's on Friday, and we'll just go from there. So my fellow agents, until our next assignment, this is X7 saying, I'll be phasing out.
Bruce Lee as the incomparable Kato, king of Kung Fu. Van Williams as the Green Hornet. See him play the game of death. The dragon enters the den of the secret Chinese cult. Bruce Lee in his most exciting adventure. Kato, invincible against the terror of the Tong. Bruce Lee is Kato. No one can stop him. See the fury of his flying feet. Bruce Lee, in his most famous role, battles the fanatical Lo Sing in a kung fu fight to the death. Bruce Lee is Kato in The Green Hornet, coming soon to this theater.